guys, this is Rachel Kirkland, the Modern Shaman, and thank you for being here. It is question and answer time on this YouTube channel. I'm going to get to another question you guys sent to me. I'm finally getting to some, and this one's like back from June. So, I know I got a long list, and I'm getting to them. I promise you, if you sent me one, I will get to it. Okay, just be patient with me, please. Okay, here we go. Rachel. I am looking at your videos on YouTube. I really love the topics and I learn a lot. I was wondering if you had a video somewhere about animals. I don't see it. When I see or read about animals getting hurt, for example, in research or medicine or the meat industry, it gives me such physical pain in my chest. It almost makes me paralyzed. I know I can choose not to look at the news or read the newspapers, but if I don't look, I feel like I'm almost letting them down. It's like they're going through hell and I can't even manage to see it. I feel similar pain when I see people get hurt, but for some reason it affects me worse when it's about animals. If you already have a video on this, just please direct me to it. If not, I would love your input. Sending you love. Yes, let's talk about animals. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. I'm going to tune in. I don't even know that there was a question mark anywhere in there. It's just kind of the general topic of like, how do you handle, I guess seeing other beings and forms that seem helpless, and how do you handle, seeing that or knowing what to do in that kind of situation. Okay. I'm like soaking in this energy. Compassion is such a beautiful, beautiful energy, isn't it? Like just reading that, I can feel your compassion, and I feel like it's so beautiful. Just makes me want to like soak in your compassionate energy. Okay, well they're showing me, Spirit is just kind of separating things out into different, like two different channels here. One of which is, there's nothing wrong with compassion. It is a beautiful emotion. It is a transitionary emotion, meaning it moves us from one state of being into another. Now, we still get to choose what we do with that compassion, meaning if it starts to hurt you and you're feeling physical pain, you can sit with that pain. You can write a letter to some authority to try and stop animal cruelty. You can choose to not buy products that have done testing on animals. There's a lot that you can do personally by aligning with your compassion. When I was 17, maybe younger than that, I don't know, before I went to college, and I was 18 when I went to college, but before then I read a book about how we could solve poverty by using the fields that we now use to feed cows and chickens and things. If we just use those to grow grain, there would be plenty, and there would be enough for all of poverty to be poof, gone on the planet. I just burped, sorry. I don't know if you can hear that on my tummy, my stomach's like, my throat's like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I should probably start that video over, but Jimmy cracked corn, and I don't care. I'm not going to. Okay, so anyways, when I read that book and I learned about that, I could no longer eat meat. I was like, my compassion heart was like, it was just beating out of my chest, And I decided from then on I was going to be a vegetarian out of the ethical decision that I didn't want to support that system of feeding the cows and the chickens when we could use that to feed humanity, and that was kind of an overproduction. There was plenty of space for everyone if we just didn't eat those animals. So that's why I became a vegetarian, because my compassion was hit so hard with this that I asked myself, okay, well, I don't know that I can change that system. I don't know how to change it, but I can't sit with it inside my own personal integrity. So this is one thing I can do. I know I can do it, and I've done it ever since. And since then, things have come out of that. Like I feel in alignment with my body in terms of what it likes to eat and things like that. But that's just one example of when compassion kind of comes to you in that way, asking yourself what in your own personal integrity in that moment, like what is this showing me? Like I said, it's a transitionary emotion. So it's moving you into a different space, and you still get to choose where that active space is in the end. If you just do nothing, at least for me, I start to feel bad about doing nothing, you know? And this is just me. Again, this is my own sense of integrity. But in order to get myself back into alignment in times like that, when I feel sad for someone else in an extreme way, I have to go right to my core and ask myself in my sense of integrity, how do I feel like I want to handle this situation? Like, what can I do? What would bring me peace in this moment? And it's different every time. So there's not like a catch-all to it, because you are a different person than me, and you're going to react in the ways that you think, and the way you process things are going to be a little different. You may not, if you had read that same book that I read when I was 17, it may have been like, oh man, that's a cool fact. It's like a factoid on some little, research project, that if we use those fields, we could solve poverty. For me, it moved me into a form of personal decision making that's changed my whole life. So simple, but that's where I was in terms of my own personal integrity with it. Now, sometimes there are things that I see on Facebook, like someone will post something about animal cruelty, and it'll be some dog that's chained up and all bloody and just like, oh my God, it's just like horrible. And I will, in my own personal integrity, feel like I need to block that image. I cannot watch it. I don't have a desire to watch that. I don't have a desire to see that with my visual eyes. It's kind of like watching a horror film or something. I don't have a desire to watch those. It's not that in my naivety I don't know that it exists. Of course I know that those things exist. Yes, there's a lot of cruelty. And it goes really deep with animals, with people. It's out there, and I'm very aware of that. But there are times in my personal integrity that what I feel like is most relevant is turning that visual off. Okay? And then in that moment, I would see, like, am I feeling like there's a move to change? Do I feel like, what do I feel like I need to do in that moment? I think there's a reason when it's so strong like that, when there's like a physical pain, I would ask Spirit. I would ask Spirit individually, like sit down, and depending on how you connect with Spirit, I would sit down and have a conversation with your higher self. Like, what is this about? Like, where is this coming from? For me, those are times when Spirit is kind of getting in my face about something that I need to do. When I feel something that strong. It's like it's something that you cannot ignore. So I would pay attention to that. And I would tune into, like, is this something I need to, are you guiding me to start volunteering at the shelter? Are you guiding me to start like where is this going? I would just sit and ask Spirit. I know that's a broad answer, and because your question is like just triggered to you, and I feel like that answer would be different for each person, I have to go with like, you just need to sit and connect and ask Spirit like why that is happening to you in that way, like in such a strong way, because I feel like there's a message there. Like maybe you feel like the animals need a voice, and they're pushing you to be an advocate for that. And that, again, that's individualized. I've never felt led to be an animal activist, so I don't have that push, but you might, and it may be relevant for you. So I would pay attention to that. I do feel like those strong, emotional, strong heart tugs like that, not a sense of, from a sense of compassion, from a sense of love, not a sense of frustration or anger that no one else is doing something so I have to. Not from that energy, from an energy of sincere love and purpose, you know, coming from that place and asking Spirit, like, if that's what you're feeling, there is a sense of direction there. I feel like they're wanting to take you in. I would pay attention. I would sit, what I'm seeing right now, and maybe this is just for you, is sitting with your journal and asking the Spirit to speak through your hand and use your pen and talk to you, and then tell you why they feel like this is relevant for you. And I would just sit until whatever comes in your head, whatever images you see, whether it's a picture you want to sketch or whether you're hearing kind of a little voice in your head, I would write it all down, anything that comes to you in that moment, and then read it and observe it later. Channeling, automatic writing. I would sit with Spirit and ask. And they're showing it, you writing it down. So there's a sense that, like, if you're writing it down, there's a little more clarity for you in there. And I think just know compassion is a beautiful, beautiful energy. It does. You can feel compassion, but feel compassion in love. Don't feel compassion in sadness. There's a little bit of a subtle difference there. But I think it's important, because aligning in the compassion and love, it's more like when you see someone suffering, you want to hold them and love them and nurture them. Like, that mothering energy comes out in you. Versus like when you see something and someone's struggling, that you want to just be like, oh my God, that's horrible. Life is horrible. What are we doing in this world? We're hurting each other. And this energy. It's not a helpful energy. Move instead into the loving compassion, which is absorbent. It absorbs and it holds and it brings in and it gathers. It's one of wholeness and togetherness and health. It bridges, does not separate. So instead of saying like, oh, poor you, or oh, I can't believe that situation exists, instead it brings it in and like, oh my gosh, I just want to love every little heart and individual, and I'm going to send them love, and I'm going to hold them in my heart right now, and just freaking love on them, just like hug them, you know what I mean? Just be like, oh, I'm just going to love that person or that animal, and just, even if you're just seeing it on a video, like just take a second and hold them in that energy, etherically, energetically, spiritually, in that space of love. Mwah. And I love you guys. I love humanity like that. I am that cosmic mama. I got it in my heart. Every time I feel stuff for humanity, that's how I feel for humans. I'm just like, oh my God, I freaking love them. And when someone's struggling like that, I just want to nurture them into health, into wholeness, into vitality of life and joy, and I just want it so bad for them. I just want to put it on them as much as possible. It's just a lovey, mommy, hold, nurturing, cosmic energy. So move towards that type of compassionate love instead of the sadness. Love you.